Hey everyone, welcome back to Joe's Metal Mancave vlog. Today we're going to do a collection update. Let's get into it. So up first is Dodheimsgard and their debut album, Kronet Tilkonge. So Dodheimsgard, yeah, they're probably known as one of the most diverse and avant-garde bands to come out of Norway. As they evolved, they went through a lot of different stages, but ultimately kind of ended up in this sort of industrial black metal and then just kind of industrial, I don't know, just general industrial metal. I don't really know how to describe their later stuff, but I gotta say the later stuff is not my cup of tea. Especially International 666 is just, I don't know, man. I had it way back in the day and I tried to get into it, but I just couldn't do it. So, probably back around like 2005, I actually got my hands on an old CD pressing, probably the original actually, and I wanted to like this album a lot back then. For some reason, I didn't like it, and I ultimately ended up selling that CD pressing, and writing this off as basically a mere Darkthrone clone, and in a way, it is, and yes, Fenris from Darkthrone does play bass and do backing vocals on this, but just as far as riffs are concerned, it is really, really good. I mean, there's some just colossal riffs, some really great guitar work, and there's very, you know, it's kind of just well-known, catchy Norwegian black metal. It's just awesome here. There's some acoustic parts, so it can maybe possibly be compared to some like Over, though it's definitely not like the dominating theme. But yeah, there are some acoustic parts and some slower parts too, and then some parts that are kind of more reminiscent of like the more, you know, kind of Celtic Frost, the influenced Darkthrone riffs, those kind of moments, you know, more kind of rocking stuff. But yeah, this is a really good album, and I don't know why I didn't realize that like 15, 16 years ago when I used to have it, but nevertheless, really happy to have this Darkness Shall Rise Productions version in my hand, which is limited to just 500 copies, so may or may not be sold out. I guess you have to check their website or check, well, whatever your local, usual distributor for music is or whatever. But yeah, this is a great reissue here. You know, it comes with a nice J card which has all the lyrics, those of which are in you know, both Norwegian and some in English. It also has some interesting information, or, you know, sort of recollections from the three members that participated in their record, and then is Nick, Alderon, and Fenris, of course. Yeah, some really interesting stories. The band was basically formed because all three of those guys used to drink at the Elm Street pub in Oslo, or was it Bergen? I think Oslo, and it was it became a really popular place for black metal musicians to hang out with as the 90s progressed, and it's a legendary place from what I understand. But yeah, they met there, and then they had a rehearsal place nearby, and one thing led to it, and then that's kind of how the band got going. So it's interesting that, you know, the band, right from the get-go, Nick and Alderon, they wanted to do something Darkthrone, you know, influenced or sounding, and in fact, they got Fenris to play on the album. Must have been just massive for them back then. But yeah, some cool stuff. I really like Alderon's vocals too. He's always had a very diverse and very distinctive, raspy black metal shriek that's just distinctively his, and it's great stuff. I love it. So yeah, Dodheimsgard, Kronet Tilkonge. Alright, we're continuing on. Do you guys like tapes yet? Well, you better, because I got two more to talk about. So, the next two tapes come from actually the same band, Helheim, and it's their first album, Jormungand, and their second album, Av Nulen Ets. Helheim is a long-running Norwegian black metal band. It's been going since the early 90s, but for reasons I don't really understand, these guys have just never really taken off and just, you know, like, no one really talks about this band that much, and that's really a shame, because this is really, really good Norwegian black metal. Helheim's lyrically was more focused in paganism and, you know, Viking mythology, that kind of stuff, so immediately when you listen to this stuff, you're pretty much instantly reminded of early Enslaved. I mean, the influence is all over the place, and it's pretty awesome, and it's pretty obvious. But even so, even though like you can make parallels to the early Enslaved work, it doesn't mean this is an original. Helheim's definitely got their own very original sound going in these early albums, and as the years have progressed, I don't really know the later stuff, but I think there was a point when they had like an industrial metal period, but if I'm wrong, definitely correct me on that. But early stuff is definitely very Enslaved sounding, and it's fucking awesome. So I mean, this is a band I've known about for just years and years and years. I mean, at least going back 20 years ago, I knew this band, but I just, you know, it's one of those bands that were like, I probably heard it on like, you know, some file sharing service back then. I just didn't, you know, act. I should have bought the CD years ago, but I didn't. And then it probably wasn't until maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago I heard this album and I was just like, God damn, these are really good. And yeah, I didn't buy them back then either, obviously, so I've had a lot of opportunities. But what we have here again is, you know, 2 reissues from Darkness Shall Rise Productions, and as it goes with Darkness Shall Rise Productions, it is exceptional quality. You get to hear I got the debut album Jormungand and Av Northern Et, and both these albums, yeah, are in that slave style, although this album, Av Northern Et, kind of pushes things a little bit more in that kind of Viking metal and more folk metal. I mean, there's like some backing female vocals here and there, some violins, and there's kind of that, you know, beer drinking, merrymaking going on, actually, which is not really unexpected considering the album cover, which has the 3 members feasting on meat and a giant turkey leg, I'm assuming. But I'm glad I got this tape too, because I'd seen this album cover before and I never really fully understood what was going on. Like, I didn't actually even notice the 3rd member in the band until I got the tape too. I just thought it was the 2 guys in the front. But yeah, now that I got the tape, I can see it's, you know, a guy drinking and a guy biting a big turkey leg. But for years, I thought it was, for some reason, the turkey like looked like a crucifix, and I thought he was biting Jesus' head off. But obviously, it's not the case. So anyway, yeah, I should have expected a little merrymaking and a little hobbity-ness, but yeah, still a fucking great album. Still very much black metal. I mean, you know, there's a lot of borders for like what is Viking metal and what is black metal, but you can definitely, you know, when the band's a little more Viking metal, a little more folk metal, you can separate from being a black metal band. I mean, I do it all the time. Yeah, like I wouldn't even consider like the later period Nocturnal Mortem stuff to be black metal. It's just too fucking folky and all that kind of shit. So anyway, I'm going off on stupid bullshit. But yeah, these are great albums. If you've never heard them, absolutely positively need to get them in your collection, because through and through, just classic Norwegian black metal here. And yeah, like this one comes on nice heavy cardstock, much like that Gehenna one I showed a few weeks ago. Get some pictures of the band, recording information, all the lyrics. J-cards look great. And here to check out this tape, since the other one's in the cassette deck right now. Comes in a black tape, has the gold print on it. Very, very good. I mean, the albums sound great as well, so yeah, man. I'm glad that, you know, tapes, when the whole tape trend kind of started a few years ago, I was very skeptical. I talked a lot of shit about it. In fact, there's even a video on my old YouTube channel where I basically show my tape collection, but talk shit the whole time. And I've definitely changed my opinion on tapes because, for one thing, I have now have, for like the first time since like my childhood, actually a reliable cassette deck. And all these cassettes that are getting reissues, you know, they have superior sound. They sound great. I mean, I think everyone's just kind of hung up on the fact that, like, back in the 80s and the early 90s, the volume of, like, all those old thrash cassettes was super low, or whatever music you listened to back in the, you know, your earlier days or whatever. The volume was always really low. But yeah, all these tapes I've been getting from Darkness Shall Rise or Dread Records, all the sound is fucking phenomenal on all of them. But then again, I got a pretty good setup here too, so maybe that helps. I don't know, but the thing is, you're probably going to see more cassette tapes here at Joe's Metal Mancave. Alright, we're going to continue with another album that I first became interested in, yeah, a long time ago. So it's kind of funny, I'm just getting this in my collection now. So, the album in question is Aborym's Fire Walk With Us. Yeah, so I first heard Aborym back in, I would say about 2002 or 2003, this record label named Unholy Records from, I want to say West Virginia. I think they were like a sub-label of Resistance Records, which is a very racist, like white power, really far right-leaning record label. They had released, a compilation back then called Visions, a tribute album to Wagner Kiernas, which is actually a rare example of like a tribute album. Like, I actually really like that one. I'll talk about that one someday. But yeah, Aborym appeared on that tribute album doing a cover of the Burzum classic "Det Something Getting Butter." And what really made Aborym stand out right from the get-go was that they were industrial black metal. And I think right around that time, that was kind of when you know, when the whole kind of industrial black metal thing was really kind of getting popular. You know, Like the Thorns album has been out, Dodheimsgard's International 666 it out. Some people kind of find some industrial qualities in Centuricon's Dribble Extravaganza. You know, there's a lot of more other more underground stuff that kind of popped up in the early 2000s there. So Aborym, as far as I know, had a history dating back to like the early 90s, but I think they were a more straightforward black metal band. But as time progressed, they just turned into this more industrial project. And then it became industrial black metal. And they had an album before this in the late 90s called Kali Yuga Bazaar, and I've never heard it, but I think that was, as well, industrial black metal. So I think that was from like 98 now. So if that was the case, it probably had to be one of the very first industrial black metal albums. But I really like Aborym, and I know I've said before, time and time again, that I really hate industrial black metal, but this is the extraordinarily rare exception. See, what I like about this album is it is industrial, but it's still black metal, whereas a lot of the other industrial black metal albums, they lean more in like that, industrial or more than avant-garde territory, and the black metal tendencies are really kind of pushed to the side. Whereas this album, I feel like it's a good balance for everything. It's still very much a black metal album, but you get all like the industrial sounds and the more eccentric and avant-garde characteristics you'd kind of expect out of an album like this. And it's definitely a grower, though, I'll say that. I mean, I had to listen to it like 3 or 4 times, but then it really kind of got into my skin. I really started liking it, because it's just this, it was a good album for its time period, too, 2003. I mean, it was definitely, the new millennium was here, and definitely, I get why, black metal evolved. No, I don't necessarily like the evolution it made in the early 2000s, but this is still a rare example of industrial black metal done very, very well. And of course, what really makes the first couple of Aborym albums stand out too is that Attila Shiha from Tormentor, and of course, singing on Mayhem's Day Mysterious Dome Satanis album, this was sort of how he got back into black metal and got more involved in the scene again. Because I think after his short time with Mayhem in the early 90s, I think he went back to Hungary. And then had a family or something, did a few other industrial projects like that. So this was probably like the best way to introduce him back into the scene or whatever. It was a good comeback for him. It was really cool. I mean, like other than this, like there was that Mayhem CD and the live CD in the late 90s that had him as a guest vocalist on one song. But to hear him doing the full vocal and just hearing his very diverse and very, very interesting voice again, it was really cool at the time. And yeah, so really cool album. I really like this. I mean, there's some like pure industrial and almost like I don't know what you want to call it, like damn, this shit just broke the CD. What the hell's up with that, man? Well, yeah. There's some like I don't know, dancier parts of this album too, but they make it work. That's what's important, I guess. They also, I remember like they have really peculiar like neon corpse paint for this one. Like what the hell, man? But I remember looking at their website back in the day, and they called themselves, I don't know, something like, I thought they called themselves like neon metal or something like that. I don't know, that's not nuclear metal, it's impelled Nazarene. I don't know, but they really wanted to push the industrial thing, the eccentric, and being, avant-garde pretty far out of the zone. And it's a success, though. It's a rare success. I think basically just this album and the Thorns debut, it was just that rare exception where industrial black metal has worked for me. But then again, I've also very much kind of avoided that genre over the years too, because I just, I don't know. But so if there's like a really good other industrial black metal band or album, I'll definitely recommend to me in the comments. I'd love to hear it and give it a shot. But anyway, that's Aborym's Fire Walk with Us. Great fucking industrial black metal. Alright, one more to close out this collection update, and we're going to talk about Marduk's Dark Endless. So, Marduk, there's a hell of a lot I could say, of course. There was a time period when Marduk was absolutely, positively my favorite black metal band. Man, I had everything they released in the early 90s. I mean, everything save for an original copy of the Fuck Me Jesus demo. I had a CD reissue of it. But I had all the EPs, all the live albums. I even had this box set called Black Crown back in the early 2000s, which had some VHS tapes and some couple rarities compilations of like covers and live stuff. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, probably around like 2004, I owned all that stuff. And then the first couple of albums they released in the early 2000s too. I love Marduk, but sometime after that, and I don't really know why, I just started to really distance myself from the band. I didn't like the majority of their old records, so I sold literally everything except for Those of the Unlight and Opus Nocturne and Heaven Shall Burn. I sold all the others, and I I've in more recent years gone back and listened to them, and I'm like, these are great classic Swedish black metal albums. Why would I sell that? I don't know. I really don't know. My fuck, do I ever regret it, man? But it is what it is. So yeah, back in probably the middle of summer, I bought this reissue of Dark Endless, which is the first Marduk album released in 1992, originally on No Fashion Records, and it shows a much more, I think, death metal influenced version of Marduk, but still brutal and really just vicious stuff for its time. It's really good, and I cannot believe I sold that. It was probably like an original old school pressing of that album almost years ago. But it was really great to hear this again. I really like this, and again, there's something really special about that early Marduk song. I think it's because they have that death metal influence still hanging there, that more melodic and even sometimes like kind of calmer moments, or even there's like some synthy parts, or those kind of songs they did on Those Beyond Light and Opus Nocturne. Just it's different. But then when they got the Heaven Shall Burn, that's when Legion joined and Frederick Anderson had been there for a couple years ago. They just really upped the tempo, and that's when it became like that high-speed, brutal black metal, and sort of set that standard for that style in the mid-90s there. But yeah, even that stuff's really good, and I really regret selling it. But great stuff here. I mean, this reissue comes from Black Lodge Records, and the cover doesn't have the original art, which is a bit peculiar. But yeah, there's the back cover. And I just noticed it's got the Sound Pollution logo. That's a record store in Stockholm. I went there about 10 years ago when I was in Stockholm. So there's the original cover art, which isn't necessarily the best cover art, but it has its charm. Then of course, you just get a bunch of weird photos and no lyrics, and I want to say the original had lyrics and had band photos, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen it, of course. But yeah, great to have this back in my collection. It kind of sucks that I have to, settle for these reissues, but original copies of all that Marduk stuff goes for a lot of money now. So damn it all, if I was gonna sell it, I definitely should have waited about 15 more years and do it now. But all I can say is I really regret it. But great to have this back in my collection. Great album, but I think, by the time they got to Those of the Unlight and Opus Nocturne, that's when Marduk really hit its peak. This is a great album, but it's a little samey from here and there, but still great riffs, great aggression, just fucking great vocals too, of course. Not pure black metal, but still, it shows a more melodic and death metal influence Marduk. That's really interesting. Well, that's all I got this time, guys. I got a little bit of a sore throat, a little upper respiratory thing going here, so if my voice sounded weird, that was why. But there's several interesting albums to check out. A lot of them are old, maybe you know them, but if you don't know them, if you're a younger dude or whatever, definitely look up there. Some great classics from the Swedish Norwegian black metal scene. Alright, my name is Joe. I'll see you next time on Joe's Metal Man Cave Vlog.